Hello guys, welcome back. So today I'm going to talk a little bit about my more expensive knives. I'm going to call these higher end knives because I was collecting these in college in college. So what felt like high end to me was probably a lot cheaper than what might feel like high end to you, especially with today's customs and microtechs and stuff like that. But the most expensive knife that I have is $500, but everything else falls far below that. So that's just the one knife. So unfortunately, that is the outlier. But I'm going to kind of talk about the more expensive knives that I purchased over the years, um, kind of going in order of which I've acquired them. So the first expensive knife that I picked up was the ZT 350 or 0350. This is made by Kershaw. It is an assisted knife, but I've removed the torsion spring. So the one thing that's cool about this is a lot of Kershaw's you can't actually remove the torsion spring because the spring is required for detent. But this one has its own ball detent, so you can easily remove the spring and it works flawlessly. It's a much better knife without. This thing is a classic heavy duty tactical folding knife. I mean, those are some thick slabs for a liner lock. It's basically a frame lock. It's so thick. S30V blade. I think these are G10 handles. I can't remember. They feel like G10. The only thing I don't really like about this, honestly, is, well, there's two things. One, I don't really like the recurve. Not a huge fan of a recurve. I much prefer it being a straight edge. I even contemplated making it a straight edge on my own, but I haven't been able to bring myself to potentially ruin this knife. So I'm going to hold off on that. It's just harder to sharpen. The other thing is this pocket clip. That much will stick out of your pants. And I don't know. It's just with modern folding knives and stuff and pocket clips and deep carry and all that, I just don't think that it's up to the standard anymore. This is a pretty weighty knife, but it feels very, very nice in hand. So ZT-0350 was my first kind of higher end, more expensive knife. The next one I purchased is Spyderco Manix 2 XL. This is the XL version. They do have a regular version, but I really wanted the bigger knife because I think the blade shape or the blade itself is a little bit better. This too is S30V, G10 handles, full steel liners. These are skeletonized. This feels a little bit lighter actually than the ZT. This one's a full flat grind, has perfect jimping. I mean, this has jimping everywhere and it's done perfectly. This thing melts in your hand. It is a large knife. Lots of handles still sticking out there. I have a medium to large size hand. The biggest reason that this one isn't carried all that often anymore is because of its width. I don't mind the length so much, but this width takes up a big chunk of your pocket. I mean, this is as wide as, I mean, nearly as wide as some of the older iPhones. I mean, this thing is pretty wide. The cool thing about this one is this was kind of Spyderco's original answer to the axis lock, I believe. It's actually a steel ball bearing that sits in a little cage, and so when you open that ball bearing springs forward, and it creates a very solid lockup. But very good knife. I don't go for S30V specifically. I think it was just the time at which I was buying these. S30V was touted to be the best kind of super steel. So a lot of these will have S30V, but in all honesty, I actually don't like S30V that much. It seems pretty chippy and it's really hard to sharpen. So you got to be fairly careful with an S30V. My favorite right now is S35VN or 3V. But again, 3V is very difficult to sharpen in my opinion as well, especially on a stone. But that was Manix 2 XL. The next one that I acquired wasn't actually a purchase, but more of a trade. So I got rid of a Paramilitary 2 Spyderco for the Benchmade Osborne 940. You want to talk about a cult classic. This thing, by many, is going to be considered the best pocket knife of all time, and it's hard to argue. This thing, it's slim, it's lightweight, it's durable as hell. This too has S30V steel. It has the Benchmade axis lock. The pocket clip is good. You can buy aftermarket pocket clips for this very easily if you wanted to, but I don't mind this one. I mean, this thing is near perfection in terms of everyday carry, utility, strength, durability. I have batoned with this. I would not recommend it. But it's, if you had to, it's doable. Got lots of wear. So I am the second owner of this. And you can see the edge is still pretty good. I do have some small chips here and there because of the S30V. But this thing has been through a lot with me. Very good knife. I think the follow-up to that, I'm going to take one of these out of order, but the next one that I picked up was going to be, I think, is very similar in terms of the EDC vein. It's going to be the Benchmade Bug Out. This is the original. Polymer handles, partial steel liners. Probably can't see that all that well. There's partial steel liners in there. They only go to about here. So all of this is steel, but the rest of this is just polymer. Extremely lightweight. If you took this pocket clip off and you dropped it in your pocket, you wouldn't even know it's there. You really wouldn't. Very capable. It's not as capable as ZT, not as capable as Osborne 940, but it is amazing. I love this one for food prep. I think if you're just doing general utility, this knife is basically as good as it gets in terms of, you want lightweight, you don't want to know you have it until you need it. This is amazing. Also, S30V steel, if I didn't mention that. Again, I don't think that I went for S30V specifically. It was just the top tier roughly at the time, or at least top tier that I could afford. But amazing knife. Now the final one, which was originally my Grail knife. I keep it in this Leatherman leather pouch. But this is the Chris Reeves Sabenza. This is the large version. I have carried this quite a bit. So the titanium is much darker. So it's a titanium frame lock. It has a hardened lock bar, so it doesn't wear out prematurely. This one is S35VN. Definitely a beater. I mean, this thing can take abuse. I have used it quite a bit. I've obviously been a little careful. It was rather pricey, and I did buy it from Chris Reeve. I'm the original owner. I have all the paperwork, the original box, the original lubricant, the original wrench they give you to adjust and maintain. Wasn't afraid to use it. If I'm going to buy a knife, it has to, I'd love for it to look pretty, but overall, it's just got to work. Now, I do use these knives, but I also take care of them. I do clean them regularly. I lube them up. I take an air compressor and I blow out the pivot. I find that that is the most efficient way to clean out the pivots. Taking them apart, if you get some real nasty stuff in there, sure, but it's not necessary in 90% of cases. Just take your air compressor and just blow out and then put lube on. You'd be surprised at how effective that is without having to take the whole thing apart. So smooth. I mean, this is one of the smoothest non-ball bearing pivots I've ever held. It's amazing. So these are my higher end knives that I've purchased. I haven't bought a knife in a while. I'm actually looking to potentially get rid of my collection. I love knives. I just don't need a full collection. My life is taking some amazing turns, and I would rather have the money than the knives. But for now, I still have about 100 knives, and I will be going through a handful of them in future videos. I just wanted to start off here because I think these are some icons, but I've got quite a bit more coming up. I'll give you a quick, so I keep them all in that box. If you like these videos, guys, subscribe. Um, I'm definitely going to be coming out with a heck of a lot more. I also want to come out with a little bit more maybe action style videos with some adventures, hiking, camping, maybe the use of some of my tools and all that. I just don't want to be, I'm not a professional at really anything. So I want to be cautious and careful at what I put out there because none of this is meant to teach anybody how to do anything. Everybody has their own way, everybody has their own opinion. But yeah, if you like these types of videos, subscribe, and hopefully I see you guys again. All right, until the next one.